network, and she is not working tonight's game because her son, a football player,
Right. Fine quarterback in Corona High School.
Yes, so just not too far.
She's got to be a mom tonight.
Yeah, that's
Go
great.
support the team.
So one.
Yep, got the priorities right on that. There's always going to be something going on for work. So this is the one senior year for my kiddo. So this is it.
Earbuds, 7:00 start. I'm sure the football game, little double duty, right? Yeah, that's it's gonna be hard not to check in, right, on the phone.
Yeah, it's funny. I couldn't believe it was only a week ago tonight. Last Friday night, we had a home game against Brophy, and the DBacks were down, whatever it was, 5-2, and then it was like, actually, my mother-in-law was telling me it's 5-3 now, and then Alec Thomas hit the homer, and everyone in the stands was kind of like excited, in the middle of the football game about the baseball game. So, yeah, it's crazy. I feel like that was like 2 weeks ago, but it was just a week ago when Alec Thomas helped the DBacks win that game. And so, yeah, a little bit of multitasking, but I think, everybody in the Valley, we've all got things going on, but, it's so cool to see this place captured by the baseball team right now. In the World Series, I think we still have to kind of pinch ourselves that they are in the World Series.
It's true because I'm a Fiesta Bowl Yellow Jacket, as you know, Jody, and we have our monthly meeting next week, and we moved it because, game 4, right? So everybody's, moving things and all that. How is this run different than 01? You were part of that.
Yeah, I had gotten here in 2000, and that 2000 team, I really didn't know that, even like Buck, when people talk about Buck Showalter, I really didn't live that too much. I used to go in and cover game. I used to kind of just do post-game coverage. I wasn't around them every day. And then, but I knew that they made the change. They brought in Brenly, and, what Bob did was kind of let the veterans lead things and kind of, lead in his own way and kind of make those right decisions along with Bob Melvin there on the bench. And I think it's clear, and you guys know, the difference was that was a veteran-laden team.
Yeah.
There weren't too many young guys. What I really didn't realize till recently, someone pointing it out, is that even though there were a lot of veterans, they all had not really experienced that kind of success until they came together, and, Mark Grace talks about that a lot, and that's why, even though he is beloved in Chicago and he cherishes his years there, at Wrigley and playing for the Cubs, but this was his dream. His dream come true was making it to the World Series. And it wasn't until he joined the DBacks club that Jerry Colangelo and Joe Garagiola Jr. put together that he could realize that dream. So, it was cool in its own right. They had the two aces that were pretty much lights out, and they had some pop there for sure with Gonzo and Matt Williams, and wasn't a team that really, besides Womack, was stealing bases and things like that. But I think what's really cool about this run, and this was written about too, this is not an original thought from me, because, I feel like you guys probably feel the same way as you prep for your show. Now everything's coming out, right? All the stories, all the storylines, and everybody, and that's what makes it really special too, is now on the national stage, people know about this. But what makes this cool is that, these guys, as much as 01 maybe wasn't expected, it was much more expected though than this run, because these guys are so young. There's 7 or 8 guys that are under the age of 25, and they haven't been in the majors very long. I mean, they haven't even been in the majors very long. It seems silly to talk about Mark Grace, Matt Williams, Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling. Those guys have been in the league for years, and some of these other guys have only been here a year or two, and it's amazing to watch. So it is quite different, but I think for those of us that have lived through both, it's just that excitement comes back of like, wow, we made it back.
George, interesting. You sit there and think, and you go, in every cloud, there's a silver lining, right? So you think of the 14-game skid these guys had, and just how Torey Lovello really, I felt, kept this team very even keeled. But do you think there are any lessons learned during that skid, how they came out of it, that's helping them in this playoffs? When you see how, they lose 5 out of the last 7, they lose last 4 in a row, but they sneak in the back door. So were there any lessons learned? Do you feel that's carried them through?
Yeah, I think the hard road is sometimes valuable, and I know they lost the 9 in the row. That was kind of the low point before they started going back up. And on August 12th, they came out of it. I think the stretch though was something like, and I might be wrong on this, but it was right around 7-25 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived a lot of that coming out of the All-Star break. We went to Toronto. Nothing went right in Toronto. And my experience was, in 2019 when we went to Toronto, that road trip, we went 8-2 on that road trip. And so I had like a good vibe going in there, and it just didn't happen. It just seems like our starters went out there, gave up a couple runs. Next thing you know, we weren't hitting. So it just was, everything was going backwards. And then they went to Atlanta and they had that crazy game where they won 16-13, but they weren't, they won a few games in Atlanta. That was nice, but then they got swept in Cincinnati. And then, and I think some doubt crept in, and I think, the bullpen certainly was part of that, losing the offense going away, and it happens. It happens. But the key in baseball is to not let it, and it lasted a little while longer than anyone thought. Like Tori talks about, we budget for that. Every team, I don't care how good you are, you're going to go through a lull. It's how long does it last? So luckily they pulled out of it in time, because it got a little dicey there. When you have 84 wins, you can't, thank God it did come up when it did, because it was a little dicey, and then they got back on a run in September pretty good, and then they ended kind of mid, as the kids say, mid. I don't know what that means, but it means like so.
Not
I don't know if you guys are around any kids that say mid. It's like so mediocre. They kind of like didn't, Chicago, New York at the end, it was like but luckily they beat the Cubs 6 out of 7. The Cubs had a meltdown with it. Frankly, if we're being honest, assist to the Cubs there for being bad. And the D-backs took advantage. So you get there how you get there. And 84 wins is one of the lowest levels for a team going to the world. Let's just be honest. And I saw a stat where these two teams, there's only been 4 World Series where both teams were under 500 the year before. And they go back years, like 50, 60 years. And I don't have it in front of me, but teams that, like, this is only the 5th time that's even happened. So crazy.
Jody Jackson joining us here, Rocky Minucci, Fox Sports 910. Jody, you've been around a lot of teams, locker rooms, and you hear when teams are having success that these teams are close. They hang out all the time. They're all on the same page. Would you say that? I mean, we've heard that this team is too. But is there a team in the past, if it's the Yotes or any other team any particular year, anyone you followed, you would agree that they are there? Because you heard that with the Phillies too, and you hear it all the time. But do you believe it?
Yeah, you mean that this team is that special, like close team, or
is this team that special that you always hear when teams are having success, that they're so close knit, and they're just they hang out with it all the time.
Yeah, for 2 minutes. And the one easy one here is, it's so rare when we talk about the young guys, they all come up together in some form or fashion. Corbin Carroll wasn't in the minors as long as some of these other guys, but he was with them during some certain points in time, and Alec, and on, and some of the relief, Brandon Fott, some of the pitchers, some of the position players came up together. That's cool to watch. And then the other dynamic that kind of makes them close, it's this joking atmosphere where you've got the veteran guys, and it's like this big brother, or like Alec Thomas referred to Longo as like the cool uncle, or these other Tommy Pham's like that uncle that messes with you, and I just kind of like that uncle that is really edgy, So they have that dynamic. It's like there's not a lot of middle ground guys. There's like you're either older or you're younger, and it's kind of a fun clubhouse feeling, like big brother, older brother and younger kid, and everybody's, the kids goof around, and then the older guys, they're just like laugh. It makes the older guys, when you see a fan in a slump or Walker in a slump, and they see these other guys goofing around, it kind of keeps it light for them. Mm-hmm. So you think of the veterans sometimes keeping the young guys in line, or like keeping them straight. I think almost it's the young guys keep those older guys loose a little bit,
Jody, we'll leave you at this. We do an It's Your Call question of the day, a poll question, and we want to get your thoughts on it. Who will need to be the MVP for tonight's game 1? And your 4 choices are Corbin Carroll, Zach Gallen, Ketel Marte, or the bullpen. Carroll, Gallen, Marte, or the bullpen. If you had to pick one.
Well, You know, with this team, it's so hard because it's such a team effort. But
Yep.
I'm going to go with Zach Gallen, and that's probably a popular choice because I want
Yep.
to see him do well. He doesn't feel like he's really – I would hate to see him come out of this postseason feeling like he didn't contribute his best. And I understand he's up against – you guys have probably seen the numbers. He's pitched 232 in the third innings. That's 50 more than last year. And so I understand the arm's probably not the freshest, but this is the time for that. This is the time to figure out a way to get it done. And I think he's capable of it for sure. I mean, he's not injured. He's fine. But, you know, I would love to see him come out and be the MVP tonight, hold them down. And you know, it's going to be hard for the offense. They got to get some runs against the Eovaldi. And I don't know who that's going to be. It doesn't have to be Carroll or Marte. It could be anybody. So I'm going with Gallen. I like the question, though. Good job, guys.
Jody, thank you for your time. Good luck with Corona tonight as well as the D-backs. And hopefully we'll catch up with you next week. Thanks for some time.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. Have a good one.
You too. Jody Jackson joining us, MLB Network, as she's off tonight, but for Mom Dudes.
Going to go be a mom and
Duties,
watch
yes,
her senior quarterback
absolutely.
at Corona, one Connor Ackerley.
Hey, coming up, we're going to kind of put a wrap on the show a little early today. We got ASU hockey coming up. But first, I have some fun facts and tidbits